Sweden hockey games from the Globe Arena in Stockholm. From me, Gary Moran, hello again from this spectacular sports venue. Today's game will feature Finland and the USSR. 22 times world champions Russia have got to start favourites in this 14 tournament, also involving the host nation Sweden, who we've already seen taking points off Czechoslovakia. It's Finland against Russia today, of course, and the Russians will have got some youngsters into their lineup because they've had to leave the veterans on the sidelines, as it were. Alex Dampier, Great Britain coach, joins me in the commentary booth again for this one. And Alex, I think we might see a physical encounter between Finland and Russia today.
I would think that's probably correct, Gary. There's no love lost between the two clubs. Finland have always sort of been the underdogs against the Russian team, so they've got a point to prove, and I expect today it could be a fairly high-scoring affair.
Well, the Finnish have got some support in the Globe Arena. Not a big turnout for this one, of course. The home fans preferring to watch Sweden, but the game's underway, and referee Boris Johansson drops the puck, and as I say, we're looking for early hits, but I don't think referee Johansson was expecting to be one of the victims quite so early on.
Well, he went down quite heavy. It's probably warmed him up right away. He's into the game anyway.
Well, it certainly looks to be a little physical, and it's Russia bringing it through centre ice, and Kamensky can't quite collect. A little flick of the back heel there, trying to get the puck through.
Well, there's a lot of class on this Russian team, Gary. I think the Finns are going to have their job cut out for them just to try to contain this attack.
Well, Marjan, the Russian netminder, got an early touch there, but the Russians, the big red machine as they're known, rob centre ice, and the Finns trying to get something going, but the Russians mop up in the corner and send it the length, so I think we'll get a whistle there.
Yeah, looking at the Finn lineup, Gary, they've got a mixture of players. They've got some older guys and then quite a few youngsters, and the Russians, actually age-wise, are a fairly young team.
I think the Stockholm hockey fans are missing a treat here. We saw the big empty spaces in the stands there, and they can't all be sitting in their armchairs watching it on television.
No, I think this will be a good game. It'll be very competitive. I think a little more competitive than the last game.
Senak loses out and then hustles back for Russia and helps his teammates try to get possession, but the Finns trying to keep the pressure on and doing well. Vitowski in the corner drops it off, and now the Finns trying to look for an opening, and surprisingly the pressure's on the Russian goalie already. Yeah,
I'm surprised. The Finns are very good skaters, and I think their league in Finland is one of the best in Europe, so there's no shortage of talent.
Well, Utsala gets it forward for the Finns, but they're robbed against centre ice, and now Shurtijev gets involved for Russia. Where's the puck gone? It was underneath him, but he manages to poke it out free again, and that's an easy glove save there for Lindfors. They think a lot of this goalkeeper in Finland.
Well, the Finn goalies have been are notorious for being very good. They're almost acrobatic, and I think this guy's going to have to be very sharp today if he's going to stop this Russian team. He's going to face a lot of rubber today, I would think.
Well, it's Finland got to defend that goal of Lindfors. Blomqvist gets ready to go out next shift, I believe, and Keskinen's got the job of trying to win the face-off just to the right of Lindfors, and he gets it back to his defence, and they drop it off and try to set themselves up. But good hustle from the Russians already, getting in there.
Well, they're being quite aggressive, and they seem to be trying to get that point over on the Finns right now. That they're using their stick a lot of slashing and a lot of high sticks.
Yeah, a lot of chopping going around, but the Finns showing they can do it, whether they're on their skates or their knees. And now it's the Russians that mop up at the back.
Well, the Finns, when they play in North America, they're the ones that seem to stick it quite well. They seem to have that tough nature about them, more so than a lot of European countries.
Finns do get some players over into the NHL, don't they?
Yeah, they must have at least 10 guys playing in the NHL right now, and a lot of them are real quality players. And, Tikkanen for Edmonton's a real tough kid. He doesn't take any nonsense from anybody.
He's one they could perhaps fall back on from the World Championships, as it is. It's youngster Salan who's possibly in there, and it's a good shot from Salan, just a little bit wide. He's a young player, though, and they've got high hopes for him. Lines himself up, but the pass doesn't come through, and we get a whistle on the play. So it's up and down the ice, but the Finns are putting the moves together better at the moment.
Well, I'm not sure if Russia thought this might be easy or not, but the Finns certainly are coming at them.
Well, that could have been a hooking penalty, and I think indeed it is. Smirnov, number 2, for the Russians, goes to the box. It was Salan's shot during the play, and the referee sends number 2 in the red strip, Smirnov, to the box. 2-minute penalty for slashing, timed at 2:35. So we get to see an early look at the Russian penalty kill unit.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I would think they'll be fairly aggressive. I don't think they'll let the Finns set up at all. the Russians seem to be that way. They go on the offense no matter what.
A lot of these young Russian players playing for their spots as well on this team.
Well, yeah, I think it's a build-up for the Olympics, and you know, if they want to get on the team, they're going to have to impress the coach. Otherwise, they'll be spectators. They won't be making the trip.
Well, we saw a quick stop there from Marjan, but they've managed to clear it out, and the Finnish players setting up centre ice back into their own zone, looking for something to happen. And Peltoma's gone way out wide on the right wing, out of shot, and the pass doesn't come his way. He's Kivili. He manages to dipsy-doodle his way. There's Peltoma trying to hustle his way, and Marjan has to cover up. Penalty killing's going well though for the Russians. They're spoiling it. There's the lad, the bad lad, Smirnov.
Yeah, the Russians are. They seem to be forcing the play all the time, and the Finns haven't really been able to settle down. And you know, unless they can get clean possession and work it around, they're going to struggle on this power play.
Didn't see any line changes there. The Finns seem to be just going with their lines as such, as though they've got units throughout.
Yeah, they seem to be. I haven't noticed any changes yet, but I'm sure if things go badly and they don't start scoring or at least creating chances, they're going to have to make some line changes. This
is one of their favourite lines, Nieminen at centre and Tuomisto at number 18 on the left wing, and they don't get the chance to prove anything because they lose possession. But now Finland's regained it, and it's dumped in there. A lot more dump and chase than I thought we'd see in a game of teams with this skating and passing ability on it.
Well, I think the Finns are good skaters, and they have a little bit of a North American history about them. I don't think they're afraid to throw the puck in and go in and chase it. It's a big rink. You move that puck around the boards, and I think they'll probably get some space.
Well, Tuomisto chases it down. We thought we might have seen a whistle for an icing penalty, an icing whistle to stop the play, but it wasn't given, and the Russians get a chance to break short-handed through Bure. Bure drops it off, and it's a shot from number 12, Nemchenov. And he's another big guy, Nemchenov, and I think the Russians look to these big guys to lead the team these days. They didn't always have big guys in their lineups.
No, they've certainly got some big guys in this team. There's some big rangy fellas. This was a good play. It was well set up, well executed. Basically, they had a 3-on-2 in that situation, and they elected to drop and take the shot.
Kamensky and Nemchenov, both big guys up front for the Russians, and they've got a face-off deep in Finnish territory at the moment, and it's Lindfors who's on the worry. I don't think his sides realise they should have been on power play for the time being and down the other end of the ice.
Well, it's difficult. I mean, the Russians are a well-drilled hockey club, and you know, just because you have a power play doesn't always mean you're going to have the advantage. They're a very, very good outfit.
Yeah, some shots on net there on the power play from Finland, but it comes to nothing. Blomqvist at left defence gets the chance to set up for the Finns. Stick handles his way through two, tries to open it up, and then pushes the pass just a bit too far down the right wing for Peltoma.
The Finns are very mobile, though, Gary. You notice they're good skaters. Their defence are good hockey players.
Well, they're back to full strength now, and the announcement coming from Christina Elstrom further down in this arena here. She announces that the Russians have successfully killed the first statistic of the game, that penalty at 2:35 for slashing to Smirnov. Both teams back at even strength. Finland will have been looking for a goal, though, whenever they get man advantage, won't they?
Well,
they need to take them.
Yeah, they've got to take advantage when they get them, because Russia aren't going to give up that many chances. I wouldn't think they would, but you just don't know how the game will go. It's also important that they didn't give up a shorthanded goal. That sometimes happens. You're playing the Russian teams; they're quite capable of scoring shorthanded goals.
Salan in the corner for Finland loses out, and see the full face mask on a couple of the Russians, so you know how young they are.
Yeah, I would think there are a couple of 20-year-olds on the team, so it's there's Russians playing in the NHL at that age, so they've definitely got some young talent that's very good.
The Russian there didn't take his eye off the man for one instant, and that broke the play up. But here come Finland through number 2. And that's Lorila, his long shot well saved and kicked away, but the puck's still down there deep in Russian territory. And Salan hustles and wins possession, and then Marjan covers up in the crease area. So some more pressure deep in the Russian end, and Finland not overawed by any means by the 22 times world champions.
No, I'm quite impressed. Blomqvist and Laurel are two very mobile defensemen. They're moving the puck between each other, and they're gaining the zone and getting the puck into the Russian end. They're quality guys. I'm sure we'll have to look for them for the rest of the night to carry that the Finn defense.
Well, they've got a face-off deep in Russian territory, deep in their end zone, and the referee not happy at the setup. And says, let's calm down, let's stay out the circle, boys. You know the rules, you've been playing the game long enough. Behave. And was Russia that come up with the puck. Now they have the chance to set up, and they're bringing it forward, and they're bringing it forward quickly down the right wing. Zhamov goes all the way, not the puck, the player. Zhamov goes all the way into the net.
It looks like he made a meal of that one.
I think he gets chopped on the way in here.
Oh, he gets a little tap, all right, but
there's a hook.
He banged himself in the crossbar, but you know, the goaltender stood his ground well. Difficult thing to do, a goaltender stand in there when you got a big guy coming in like that. And he held his ground, didn't give him anything to shoot at.
Well, Harpakowski, the last lad in there, does his job really, because he spoils the shot from Zhamov. And no penalties called on the play. Good refereeing.
Well, that's one chance I went begging. You know, he really got in there. He left the Finn defense looking a bit ragged.
Well, I think there'll be words if that was a chance gone begging, because Coach Tikhonov is not one to mince his words with the Russians, is he?
Well, apparently not. He's also not afraid to change his players. There's been a lot of guys who've been good hockey players but didn't quite live up to his code of conduct and have been released.
Nemchinov gets it forward for the Russians, and Gordiev takes it into the corner. Circles though, has to circle. Good covering defense from Finland, forcing the Russians to slow down and switch around. Russia moving the puck up very quickly, but then when they get there, the Finns are back in numbers. They are covering. Yeah,
they're coming back. They've got two in and one man playing high with the defense. So really, they're looking to try to keep fairly tight defensively.
Here come the Finns. Suominen in the corner, battling away, but he's robbed by Mironov. The puck comes round the boards. Finland now getting a piece of it and forcing the Russians back. Kravchuk has to bring it forward.
That's what they have to watch right here, Gary, is when the Russians start to loop. They start that looping in their defensive zone, they can cause all sorts of troubles.
Kamensky, fans on the shot. It's in the net, though. It's there now. Kamensky had the first go at it, and I think he had the second bite at the cherry as well. Timed at 7:18. That's the opening goal for the Big Red Machine. Valery Kamensky. They gave him too many options, didn't they?
Well, I mean, the goaltender made the save, and he can only make the initial save, and from then on up, it's up to the defenseman. They should have cleared that puck, or they should have had somebody knocked down. There's no way he should have had two shots at it.
Well, there's the first shot.
Well, they got lucky there.
And then somehow it squeezes through under the body. Look at there.
Yeah, the Finn back checker should have picked up that third man. That's sloppy play, but I mean, that was a good goal if you're a Russian fan.
A blot on the Finns' copybook, though, because they've been doing ever so well with that back checking. So it was a goal in 7:18, scored by Kamensky, assisted Pavel Burr and Butsajev.
You can't let them wind up in their own zone, though, Gary. When they wind up like that, they get so much speed coming at the defense. They always gain the zone and create a scoring chance.
Finland will want to get back at them quick, though, won't they?
Oh, they will. I mean, I can't see them sitting back. One goal to a team like Finland isn't going to bother them.
Uchila gets it forward to Harpar, and then it comes back to him. Well, that looked like an elbow in the face.
Yeah, Russians are...
welcome to Stockholm. She wasn't impressed.
No.
I think that must be a Finnish fan. She passing passive comment on that elbow in the face.
The Finns are a bit smaller than the Russians. You know, it's quite noticeable. But I think the Russians seem to be taking a bit of advantage of it.
I was going to say, it is particularly noticeable when the Russians carry their elbows up at point high.
Yeah, and they're heavy with their sticks, too. Of course, they're noted for that sort of thing. They're not shy to get a two-hander in on you.
Semak and Suominen face off, and it's Semak, the Russian, who wins it, and the Russians dump it forward.
The Finns are going to have to start making them pay on these penalties. They can't afford to let Russia get away with cheap penalties and then not punishing them on the scoreboard.
Well, they've got a chance now. Butsajev did draw 2 minutes for elbows there. We said it looked a bit high, and referee Johansson agreed. And now we get a chance to see the Finnish power play again. But the Russians, short-handed, looked as good as they do even strength.
Well, they've got a good system worked out here. They're putting the pressure all the time on the puck handler. And they're not giving him any room at all. Well, two of them got caught there.
Yeah, but there's still two behind them covering.
Yeah, they're circling and swinging all the time, forcing the Finns to make bad passes.
And then when they have to, they just dump it the length and kill off some of the time. Short-handed in ice hockey for 2 minutes, or unless the other team score a goal. So the idea is you bat the puck down the ice and kill the time and get your man back. Here come the Finns, charging through centre ice. There's a man offside now, so Helminen has to slow it down. Finnish coach again going with his lines as normal. No one special out there, not juggling them, keeping the 5-man units together.
A bit surprised, really. I thought he would have had to make a change of some sort just to strengthen up a line or two, unless he's got that much balance.
Well, I suspect that me and another 150 reporters up in the commentary booth here grateful he's keeping his lines together.
Well, yeah. Better hope the Russian does the same.
Well, he seems to be so far. I didn't exactly have a word with Mr. Tikhonov beforehand, but I think he knows it helps. Whistle on the play there, and the Finns getting some action around the Russian net. Chance there for Kivila, but he didn't really put it away. And plays whistle down. There's the bad boy, Butsajev, 2 minutes for elbows at 7:59. And we're coming around to the halfway mark in the first period. Here's that chance for Kivila. First shot comes through, pops up, and should have put it away. Halfway through the first period then. And it's still Russia leading by 1-0. The Sweden hockey games then from the Globe Arena in Stockholm. Halfway through the first, it's USSR 1, Finland 0, and Alex Dampier, GB coach. A standard of play from these two teams that we sort of expected, but not so much hustle. I thought we'd see more passing and going round plays, and as we said, a little bit of stick work, a little chop here, a little hack there.
Well, I think the Finns are doing a good job. They're up against it. Russia's a very good team, and you know, if they're gonna win this game, they're gonna have to keep the hustle into the game and try to keep it sort of unbalanced, the Russians, so don't let them set up their set plays.
Kivila and Henriksson try to hustle it forward, but that's the end of the power play for the Finns. Penalty to Butsajev, 2 minutes for elbows. So we're coming around to the 10-minute mark, and that's the end of the power play, and we're at even strength. Henriksson bumps in hard in the corner, and half wins possession for Finland, so his coach will be pleased with that. Here come the Finns through Peltomaa. Plays it across to his centre, and it's back out to Peltomaa, but he can't take possession. And Yuvajev goes back to mop up for the Russians.
There's a lot more direct play than what I expected here. I expected a little bit more looping and winding back into their zones by the Russians. They seem to be attacking fairly directly, straight up the boards, and they're not messing around like I've seen them do before, where they gain speed all the way up.
Yeah, there was a little hook there, a little nudge, and I thought we might see a penalty, but no. Sumanen brings it forward and then loses out, comes up against a big red wall. Kamensky brings it forward, drops it off. There's a chance for the Russians, and the shot goes wide, and I think the keeper Lindfors got a piece of it. Sumanen trying to spoil Kamensky's chance in the corner.
They make it look so easy at times here. The Russians just, it's no effort. They set up their 3-on-2s and their scoring chances as if, you know, it's just been done 1,000 times.
Well, I guess for them it has. That's the big difference, isn't it, between the Russians and say your team, the Great Britain team, that they have so much more ice time. Oh, there's a goal. Finland right back in it. We're talking about the Russians having all the pressure at one end. I think that's Tuomisto who manages to bag a goal. 11:28 gone, 1-1 the score. Pekka Tuomisto, no assist.
Yeah, it was a good goal. We were talking too much there, Gary.
Well, he just wanted to spoil it, wasn't he? We were just about to talk about the Russians getting on top, and he steals in for this one. Backhand, top shelf.
Yeah, great goal.
Good goal. 11:28 gone, 1-1 the score. Pekka Tuomisto, unassisted. Steals in, and the defenseman was a little lazy there. A couple more steps, and he could have gone closer there.
Well, he's a good skater. The Russian managed to get a stick on him a few times. He did a good job of putting that puck away.
Yeah, well, it's Zitnik with the red face at the moment, because it was Tuomisto who got the Finns level. Well, that was really against the run of play, wasn't it? Because that's the point we were trying to make.
Yeah, the Russians had the pressure, and they didn't take advantage of it. But I mean, they give Russians many more chances like that, they're going to score. They're not going to miss many more.
Well, Blomqvist behind his own net, trying to set it up. A little drop of the shoulder, a little shuffle. Brings it forward himself, plays it out right wing, gets it back.
He's a good hockey player. He handles his puck well, he controls the game.
Jarvenpää chases in for the Finns, but the young Russian there does a job and spoils it. Number 23 for the Russians. That's Zitnik. And they bat it into the corner. As you say, in a daft way, it's a very basic game, isn't it?
Well, it is, yeah. Especially in a rink like this, it's so large. There's so much room to move and maneuver. You know, if they took 20 feet off the length and 20 feet off the width, things would change a little bit. There'd be a bit more contact out there.
Jarvenpää collects the pass from Blomqvist, but it squirts outside of the Russian zone, and Finland have to regroup and start again right back from behind their own goal. We're going to forward again. A bit casual there from Jarvinen. And he paid the price because they lost possession and the Russians were able to dump it in and change on the fly, which is what they wanted, get some fresh legs out there.
The Finns are doing a good job. They're taking the play to the Russians, something I didn't really expect to see. I thought they'd spend a lot of time in their own zone defending.
Kutsajev gets it forward for the Russians. Nice drop pass through the legs and a great goal. What a cracker.
I think the goaltender will be a little disappointed on that one. He was screened, mind you, but he got caught. He got caught watching on that one.
That's that youngster, Kozlov, burying one from a long way out. Well, I think he saw enough of that to get that one.
I think so. I think it might have even hit his glove.
Kozlov, the scorer, assisted by Zelepukin. The nice drop pass as well helped make it.
The thing is, you know, he was just about to get that shot. He should have been punished. There was a Finn in a position to level him, and he didn't.
Well, the Russians and coach Tikhonov will be gradually back in front. And I think they've stretched it already through Gordiuk. Well, if the youngster can have some of that, I'll have some as well. I'll have whatever he's having.
You keep talking, we're missing all these goals.
Just 36 seconds apart there. Victor Gordiuk. And, well, Lindfors must be a bit rattled. Scoreboard ticks round to 3-1 to the Russians.
It's a bit unfair, really. I think the Finns have had some chances to score. They don't deserve to be 2 goals down.
Well, maybe they could do something about it. They'll have to do something quick, or we could be in for a rout, couldn't we?
Well, that's really the last thing that's needed here right now.
What, 3/4 of the way through the first period, and we've got a 2-goal spread for the first time in the game.
I expected the Russians to score the goals, but I thought the Finns would keep it a lot tighter. I mean, to score 2 quick ones like that is, well, that's tough. They've got a lot of work to do now.
Well, the Finns got one against the run of play, and now the Russians not against the run of play, but while it was even-handed, they managed to get a couple away. He's got a job to do on the Finnish bench.
Yeah, I think, you know, probably from the very beginning they knew they were up against a tough, experienced hockey club. But there's a lot of pride in the Finn team. They're not going to give up.
There's Christina Eldstam, the lady with the responsibility for letting us all know what the referees told her about penalties and what have you. Not had much to say to us lately since Gordiuk banged away number 3 for that 3-1 scoreline. Finn's got a chance now. They're deep in Russian territory.
Well, they need one soon, Gary. They can't leave the end of the first period 2 goals down. They'll have to try to get one back.
Well, that's what their coach will have been telling him. There's a helmet on the ice. It's come off Utila's head.
There's no head in it, is there?
No. There's the head. Utila trying to close them down. Oh, I don't know that Lindfors knew a lot about that one. I think that was hit my shoulder. Where's that one gone, ma'am? But the Russians keeping the pressure on. Utila, without his helmet, goes in, does some work. He's that man Blomqvist. Feeds it forward, tries to get them going. Hellerman, the dump in. The Finns building up the pressure nicely now, and they collect behind. Oh, fan on one shot. Puck still bouncing around. Marjan says, for goodness sakes, will someone clear it and stop giving them so many shots? Well, they're queuing up. And it's in there.
That's bad clearance, Gary. I can't believe the Russians are standing around there so much. The Finns got in behind their defense, and they had so much time to set up. This guy here should have been leveled.
Well, Helminen, Jarvenpää, and finally Harmpaa managed to stuff it in, but they were standing like at a bus queue.
Oh, they did a good job. They worked it around well. They had their guys driving to the net. Jeez, he had 2 shots.
Well, we had 3 defensemen there and 2 forwards the other side of them, between them and the goal.
It's always so easy when you're sitting watching it.
Yeah, it's very easy from where I'm sitting. I can nearly skate as well. So we get a 2-3 scoreline. 14:59 gone, and the Finns get what they wanted. They didn't want the Russians to get away with it. They stretched it to a 2-goal spread, but they're down to a single-goal spread. Thanks to 20, Harry Harmpaa. 2-3 the score, 14:59 gone. Finns will be pleased with that.
Yeah, but now you got to be careful. You know, you wake the Russians up, and all of a sudden you get them back in the game, and you can't afford to slack off at all.
He's a call against them. Verta draws 2 minutes for hooking. He looks a little bit bemused by it. Who, me, ref? How many times have we seen that now? Who, me, ref?
Yeah, it's never his fault, is it?
No, it was some other guy in a blue shirt with a big number 23 on the back.
Well, I guess he did get a little bit of a hook on him.
Looks the far side.
It's suspect, really. I mean, compared to a lot of the European hockey, is a lot of clutch and grab and hook and hold sort of thing.
Yeah.
That was no worse than what's been going on all night.
Perhaps that look really said, who me, ref? I didn't get him properly. I tried, but I didn't get him. Anyway, it's the Russians with a power play and an opportunity to stretch that lead once more. They lead it 3-2. Russia in red, playing left to right as we look now. And Kovlav brings it from behind his own net.
It'd be interesting to see what Finland do here with their penalty killing. You know, possibly a real contrast where the Russians chased and harassed them. The Finns may just box it up.
Well, the Finns have got a couple of youngsters out there at the moment. Get the young legs hustling away and try and get up some armpits.
No, they're forcing a bit of the play too. Obviously they're good skaters, so I guess they have the confidence and they feel that they can't afford to let the Russians set up.
Well, the Russians try to set up now through Semak. Finds the left wing and goes for the return himself. But the Finns rob him and dump it down the ice. That'll do. Semak didn't quite latch onto that one as his teammates would like him to, and Namestnikov shuffles it forward, and the Russians end up resorting to dump and chase on the power play.
Well, it's not always a bad tactic if you've got the size and the speed getting into those corners.
I just felt they had their heads up there for a while as though they were looking for something, you know, and then in the end nothing was on, so they were forced to dump it. Well,
they've got a lot of options in their playbook. They're not set at one thing or another. Whatever they have to do to get the puck in there, they'll do it.
Kavaltnov goes in. Delayed whistle there. I think we were offside. His penalty's not over yet.
Well, I think the Finns will be lucky to come out of this period just the 1 goal down after having this power play.
Well, that wouldn't be a bad target to set themselves at the moment, trailing by 1 with just a few minutes to go and on a penalty kill job at the moment. So Peltoma goes out there and Kivila. They've got the forechecking job to do on penalty kill. Russians trying to set up. Here comes Yuvachev. Pretty patterns on the ice from the Russians at the moment.
Yeah,
Seem to be going anywhere.
No, the Finns seem to be shutting them down. They're really shutting that neutral zone down well.
A lot of work up front by the 2 forwards. That's the key to this style of penalty kill. Mironov tried to set up for the shot. Ends up from the drop pass. And the Finns have finished off the penalty killing responsibilities. They're back at full strength. Good job by Finland there.
Real good job.
I don't think the Russians got a quality shot on goal, did they?
Not really, no. I expected a lot more out of them. And obviously the Finns have done their homework and they're quite prepared for this situation.
Well, the Russians at even strength now will try to stretch it as the period draws to a close. Certainly the Russians seem to be going in mob-handed. They seem to be there in numbers to try and take possession.
Well, yeah, they always work. They've always got 2 men on the puck. They're always strong that way.
Mironov, big steadying influence on the blue line. Picks it up, dunks it forward to Bure. Bure loses out. Tries to get the hustle going with Blomqvist in the corner.
They certainly look stronger, Gary, the Russians, don't they, along the boards and in the corners.
The Finns look as though they're scrambling that little bit, don't you think?
Yeah,
they're doing a job, but they're scrambling to do the job.
The Russians are physically that much bigger and stronger. I think they're finding it hard to contain them.
Long shot from Butsajev, lad who spent 2 minutes in the box earlier. He's hovering around the circle, trying to pick up a pass, gets one, plays it behind. Oh, that would have been a kicked-in goal. He comes all the way around. Great save. Great save from Lindfors. Shut the door on Bure really well.
Here's the Russians doing what they should have done during the power play. They've got great control and they're working it down low.
Last minute of the first period. Blomqvist tries to smother the Russians, and as luck would have it, the puck falls for the Finns. And Jarvenpää and Armpas get it forward. Now they're a bit lost. What can he do there? Turns his man well, keeps possession, gets it back to Armpas, but then he can't quite keep it in the zone. Siren blows up and sends him forward again. Good chance there. converter, the two defensemen both involved in that attack for Finland.
Yeah, he's a good heads-up hockey player.
That's a good stop. Stand-up goalkeeping, that. Well, and I don't think they're swapping autographs.
Well, I think the Finns have done enough to get the Russians upset here. They've just, you know, had a good opportunity of tying the game up.
Keskinen there had a chance. And no, I don't think he was offering to buy a soda pop after the game for that Russian defenseman.
Well, I think the Finns would really like to beat the Russians here.
Well, it would be a big feather in their cap come the World Championships, but...
well, it'd be good for all these young players in the Finn team. You know, they're all looking to get on the team for the Olympics, and, you know, it's either make or break for some of them.
Samak and Keskinen with the face-off. The Russians come away with it, though. Last few seconds in the first period. The Russians dump it forward through Truchno. And then the Finns dump it out. And the Russians, one last chance for an attack, I think.
It's a critical time, Gary. Right now, you just can't afford to get scored on from the Finns' point of view.
There's the hooter. We reached the conclusion of a good first period of hockey.
Yeah, very good.
3 goals to 2 then. Russia lead it. They took the lead 1-0, then it was 1-1, took it again 2-1, 3-1, Finland came back. Shots on goal, 16 on the Finnish net, 11 on the Russians, but the Russians outscored the Finnish side with goals through Kamensky, Kozlov and Gordiuk. 3 goals to 2 then, the Russians go in with the smiles.
USSR wins the fourth period, 3 goals to 2.
Back to the action then at the Globe Arena, Stockholm, the Sweden hockey games. Russia leading Finland 3 goals to 2. We're at the start of the second period. With me, Gary Moran, in the commentary box, Alex Dampier, coach of the Great Britain squad. If the Finns were in your charge at the moment, Alex, what would you have told them in that interval?
Well, I think that was a good period, and main thing right now, they've got to shut the Russians down in their zone. They can't give that high shot away like they have been.
The Russians, meanwhile, have been there in numbers to try and smother any offence from the Finns.
Yeah, I still think the Finns have done enough to be in the game, although, like we said earlier on, the Russians look that much stronger, and I think they could step it up a gear if they really had to.
Nemchinov took it in deep there for the Russians, and they managed to keep it in the zone. Through number 16, that's Konstantinov. And the Russians have obviously come out all pumped up and fired up. Kamensky going in there. Konstantinov clatters into a Finn, and the puck goes over the boards and into the Russian bench.
They're taking a lot more shots than what I expected the Russians to. They must know something about this goaltender we don't, and they seem to be shooting it every chance they get. Every chance they have a shot, they're taking it, which is usually uncommon for the Russian teams.
The old Russian bear there, Tikhonov, and someone with a few years this side of Tikhonov's age.
More your age.
Why, thank you. Butsajev with the face-off for the Russians. Yes, he wins possession. Gets it back to his defenseman, Konstantinov. Circle, sets himself up, gets the soft pass away. And then that was a bad pass from Russia, really, from the Russians. They had time, they could have circled again and gone deep.
Yeah, they just seem to be taking it quite easy here. It's almost as if they know if they just put a little bit more together here, they can win the game. But I think they have to be careful. Finland's not going to lay down and die on them.
Well, Bure brings it forward, drop pass off. Kamensky takes it forward, gets past one man, but the other man got enough of it, tipped it back to his teammate, and the Finns get it to central ice, and the Russians have to start all over again.
The Finns are really shutting down that neutral zone, Gary. It's something obviously they've decided to do, and they're taking away that speed of the Russians.
Well, it's not a bad ploy, and hope that goalie Lindfors can handle the long shots, and if they're that far off target, as in the shot there from Bure, he'll be okay.
Well, they must consider he's quite weak, because most Russians wouldn't shoot from that distance.
They wouldn't expect to be able to do anything.
No. It's almost like the shooting. You think if they hit the net, it's going to go in.
Yep. Here comes Semak trying to get something going. Blomqvist steals from him. It's a nice pass out of defence. Here comes Salan, the youngster, but the shot's far too weak. Got a little bit of a cuffing from Sujijev for his trouble for going a little bit too close to goalie Marjan. And that's the guy with a catch-up job to do, the Finnish coach.
He played a lot of hockey in Finland. He's been around the scene quite a while, so I expect he probably knows as much about this Russian organization as anybody. So, you know, if he can pull him out of it, he'll be a happy man.
Well, all the teams in this tournament are Pool A cut teams, aren't they? Czechoslovakia and Sweden, the hosts, and these two, Russia and Finland.
Yeah, I think when you hit the Olympics, it's a different situation. It's like playoff hockey all of a sudden. Everybody steps it up a gear. There's so much intensity involved now. Right now, I think he's probably hoping his Finnish team can do well in this tournament and just get themselves mentally prepared for the Olympics.
There's a man who's been to a few Olympics in his time, Viktor Tikhonov. They reckon amongst the hockey wives he's the most disliked man in Russia. The wives don't see their men for a long time once they get into Mr. Tikhonov's squad.
Well, I think they're happy to see the paycheck arrive.
Well, Latvian goalie Marjan watches his defenseman shoveling it forward, and a two-line pass call there. Good whistle from the linesman there, from linesman Thuden. And the Russians, well, I could have got away with it. If I'd got away with it, it would have been spectacular. But he didn't. Finnish flags waving, and they do right too. They only trail it 2-3. Still in with a shout here.
Well, they keep playing this way, Gary, and again, the Finns are sticking with their units. They're not swaying too much, and he must have great confidence in his lineups. He's just sticking with them and hoping that they can do the job.
Kozlov and Kivila facing off, and the Finns causing a bit of a panic. Ethan Kozlov. He's a young player, that Kozlov, but I can see why he's been brought up into the squad already.
Well, they've got a year or so's preparation before they do go away to the Olympics, and you know, they have to seriously look at young players right now. A year down the road, they'll be that much better. So, you know, both teams are looking along those lines.
They've opened up the NHL to these Russian players now. It doesn't matter how many go over there to find someone else to take their place.
Well, you know, there's a lot of people play hockey in Russia, and they've got a great pool of players. So, you lose a few older players, you can certainly fill them in from the bottom end with younger guys. And certainly, it's worthwhile to play hockey in Russia. There's a lot of perks to go with the job.
Beats a couple of other jobs that spring to mind anyway. Here come the Finns. They're trying to get something going through Peltomer. He's a bit of a firebrand, Peltomer. He's been doing a job. And Harpakowski chases back just in case the whistle doesn't go for icing, and beats Kozlov to the puck. Harpakowski, no need, whistle's gone. You can't bat the puck the length of the ice. It's boring.
I almost thought at first, Gary, that the Russians looked like they might try to intimidate the Finns a little bit just because of their size, and it's been a waste of time, really. The Finns haven't backed off one little bit.
Well, Tuomisto's got one goal. He's out there poaching right wing. You can see him. He'll go straight to the crease of his teammates win possession. He thought they did, and he went. And they just blew it on the blue line, and now they've had to go all the way back to set up. And the Finns have lost the momentum now. Mironov, good rink-wide pass. But then it was clipped by Kamensky. Now the Finns trying to get ahead of steam up.
This is more typical of what I expected. A lot tighter. You know, nobody's really giving away too many chances.
And on one of these shifts, something's just going to click into place, and I think the puck will be in the back of the net, but it could be at either end at the moment.
That's the one rule I really don't like that much, is the automatic icing. It you know, it kills the play. You can spend all night with your face-offs.
It's been introduced to stop injuries, hasn't it? If two guys are chasing down the puck and one gets there first and the other knows he's not going to get there first, okay, I'll take the man and bump him on the boards, and there could be some bad injuries there. But as you say, it's that's the plus side. The negative side is the stop-start.
Yeah, I mean, the play would still be going. You know, there's a good chance for the attacking team to get to it first.
Well, it's Russia on the attack at the moment with Butsajev. And all but won the face-off, all but won the draw. And the Russians have to come deep again, though, to set up. Konstantinov. And, in a tangle, Konstantinov.
Yeah, it's not like Russian defense. They're pretty technical. I wouldn't expect to see them give up too many plays like that.
Well, that's 100 press-ups at training tomorrow before everyone else gets there. Yeah. At least. Now, can they set it up properly this time? Renski. Oh, open net. Open net there.
He almost just rubbed that in a little too much, I think. He hung on. It's almost like he was tempting the goaltender.
Yeah.
Look what I've got.
You know, come this side, cat and mouse. Kravchuk with the goal. 4:25 gone. Well, I just said, can they set it up better? And you can't set it up better than that.
No, it's brilliant work. Just watch the Russian come through the crease and take the defenseman with him. One guy cuts through, takes the defense, and then the late man comes in. There he goes, takes number 20 for a walk through the park.
Well, it was Kamensky with the pass across to Kravchuk, but they've actually given an assist to Butsajev. So, I don't suppose they'll argue over it. I don't suppose they get paid ruble per point.
That was typical of a Russian setup. Really well worked.
So
nothing you can do about that.
We've got the 2-goal spread back. And now Finland will have to come out of their shell a little bit if they were ever in it, because they have been battling away and hustling away.
Well, they don't get the clean-cut chances like the Russians do. The Russians, every time they seem to work a goal, it looks a well-set-up play.
Nice to hear Christina there changing the assist to Kamensky. Of course, the referee in the initial instant didn't have the opportunity that we have of television instant replay. The Finns, though, must get back into it. 2-goal spread again. Margin covers up. Well, I won't even call that argy-bargy.
No, they seem to panic over anything. The referees were in trouble. I hate to see if anything really broke out. Those two linesmen may as well just head home.
And at the end of the day, it's supposed to be a safety valve, but it only works as a safety valve if you let the guys go now and again and calm it down. Here we go then. Keskinen with a face-off where they want one, next to the Russian goal, but they lose out. And Butsajev takes possession. Nice hard pass forward to Trichno. His backhand pass finds Sergejev and he dumps it forward. The Finns get there. Well, a little bit of bump and grind wouldn't go amiss for the Finns just now, just for a few minutes, I think.
Well, they're a bit unsettled here right now. They don't really look like they're in the game.
A little fake from the goalkeeper there, Marjan, and he pretended he was covering up and really threw it out into the corner. There's a trick for him.
Well, they could use a quick one here, Gary, get them back in. The bench has probably gone dead on them, and I'm sure they're all feeling a little bit down.
Let's go on the length, but it clatters into Lindfors in the Finnish net, so there's no icing called. Here comes Peltomer. Things tend to happen when Peltomer's on the ice. And they did there. They lost possession. Arpakowski collects the return pass.
That was well set up. I thought they could have made more of that one.
Yeah. Arpakowski had his head in gear. I think some of his teammates were in the clouds for a while. Kivila goes in to try and smother. Budakowski tries to get something going for Finland. Arpakowski round the back. There's that man Peltomer in there again in the corner. Now it's
good.
Kivila.
They're doing some work here.
Peltomer hustling in front of the goalkeeper Marjan. We've got a penalty on the play. Nemesnikov, 2 minutes for holding. And nearly saw a smile on his face there. He nearly smiled, and not a lot, just a little bit.
Well, I think the Finns here right now, they need this power play opportunity and put it to use. They've had some good chances right here. But, the Russians aren't giving them a lot of room in front of that net. If you're standing, you're not standing for long. They're going to put you down.
Well, Peltomer was the man underneath Nemesnikov. And 2 minutes, a 5-on-4 man advantage to Finland, trailing it by 2 goals. Russia in front 4 goals to 2. The red shirts now with a job on the hands.
That was
the Finns
slow play by the Russian defenseman there. He just gave it up.
Anywhere would have done there, wouldn't it, just to kill some time?
Well, he had lots of time to do it, and he ended up giving it away. Now the Finns are setting up here a bit. This is what they need.
Suominen gets it back to his defenseman, Lorila. His shot doesn't work. There's a save from Marjan. From number 25, Suominen again. Samov gets it forward. He's knocked down. No quibbles, no look to the referee for a penalty here. Here come the Finns. Oh, that's a giveaway. And the Finns capitalised. Utila's going out there for the Finns, alongside Ruutinen on defence, when he can get out there. Lorilla a bit reluctant to go to the bench as his teammates push him forward.
There's a bit of a trip there, Gary. I think it was missed.
Well, that's come out. Blomqvist got out there now. Playing the point on this power play for the Finns. Wasn't a bad pass. Almanen's in there now for Finland.
Notice the Russians have boxed up a little bit now.
They were tearing around last time. Yeah,
good
power play goal.
Good goal.
Almanen to Jutila. Well, he got on the ice on the fly, and what a good change that was.
Well, the Russians had so much success chasing. I'm really surprised to see them box up the way they did.
Well, the penalty kill unit worked last time, chasing.
Yeah, they did a great job. In fact, they set up a scoring chance, and this kind of played into the Finns' hands, I think. Nice setup, though. They got a man in behind the play.
Yeah, and nice accurate shot. Low, bottom corner, 4-3. Finland get it back to just a single goal spread, which is what they wanted. They turned man advantage into a goal advantage, and now only trail by the odd goal in 7.
Well, this has got to be as much as they hope for. You know, keeping it tight like this, especially when the Russians look like they're going to get away on them.
Well, just about halfway through the game, perhaps a minute this side of halfway, and only trailing by a goal against the powerful Russians. So the Finns must be fairly pleased with that.
I don't know why the Finns aren't doing more of the dump around the boards, because they seem to get possession when they do it.
There's one thing for sure, they can skate well enough to play dump and chase.
Yeah, it's not so much even the dump and chase, it's just playing it around, and the wingers come in hard on the other side. They flood the one side.
Well, they've got a chance now. Can't get the pass away. And the Russians...
it's like a 4-on-2. It's going to be trouble.
Here they come, mob-handed boys. Oh, that was a good sliding save from Lindkors. His teammates finally get back to help. And it's the Finns that come out mob-handed. But the Russian gets stuck in there and sorts that one out. Vertigo's back. All right, boys, now let's set up and let's do it properly, he says. Here we go, Peltomer. Finds his way around. Ball down. Yes, penalty given. The Russians play it. As soon as they do, the whistle goes from referee Johansson. And Zitnik takes a 2-minute penalty for slashing. So Zitnik leaves the action. The Finns have had one power play goal to get back to 3-4. Can they turn man advantage into a goal advantage and level it halfway through the match? We'll have to wait and see. It's looking good for the Finns at the moment.
Again, what they needed, Gary.
They've got what they needed. A power play and the chance to score.
Nummer 23, Sovjet, Kysnik,
The Sweden hockey games then, we're halfway through period 2. Russia lead Finland 4-3, but the Finns have a power play. Alex Dampier.
Yeah, they need this right now. They get themselves back into the game, and I think you can see a whole new outlook on this second period.
Well, they've had one success on the power play already, and they've got possession deep in the Russian zone now, and they're setting themselves up nicely. There's the long shot, just off target from Henriksson. He's getting involved. Peltomer's out there getting involved again. Henriksson keeps it in.
The Russians are boxing up again. They're letting them set up for the shot. Again, I'm really surprised they had such good results chasing. Now they're letting the Finns move the puck around and set it up the way they want to.
Vidikowski involved in the setup this time. The pressure's on certainly, and the Russians not clearing. Chance to clear there, and they didn't. They might pay the price for that. Here come the Finns again. That's in the net. Good night, Peltomer. Nice goal, good shot, quick release.
Oh, it's the first time we've seen the Finns overpower the Russians on the boards, and it paid off for them. They got in there and they took a couple of hits and they gave a couple, got a goal out of it. I think that's what the game's all about here.
Well, we've got a tied game. 10 minutes and 13 seconds into the second period, just over halfway. Henriksson and Vidikowski draw assists on that power play goal to Timo Peltomer, which just thunders into the back of the net. big cannon on it. As you were, boys, halfway through the game, 4-4 to score. Let's start again.
Well, I think the Russians have given it away. They were in command. And it looked like they could have walked away. They had 2 goals spread twice, and now it's tied.
You were saying earlier you thought the Russians felt they had another gear to spare, and if they have, it's time to see it, isn't it?
Well, we just saw it there. I mean, they've got that ability to go from end to end. Well, there's a fellow paid the price for trying.
Yeah, Zelepukin.
Is that the pronunciation, Gary?
I've no idea. No idea, Zelepukin. If he was moving to England, I'd advise him to use his mum's maiden name. She seems interested in it. Good run from Zelepukin, just didn't have the finish.
I think it just shows what they've got, individual skills and and team skills, obviously, but they're a lot of talent on the club. Finland, I think, is woken them up now. Now the game's going to open up a bit.
Well, all of a sudden the Finns have got 30 minutes of ice hockey to go, and they maybe came into the game thinking they could steal it. Surely they'll think they can steal it now. They've come back from 2 goals down.
Well, they're winning the period, and you can't ask any more. I think that's probably what the coach has looked at. Make sure you go into the 3rd period with it fairly tight.
Well, an offside whistle there, and the Finns get to change their lines. Both these teams keeping their units together, as we said we hoped they would. And I think if you've got that sort of strength in depth, the benefits are tenfold for a team, aren't they? Because no one is the lines go out there and play the same sort of things, and the Russians get them from about that age up to grown up, and then keep them sticking together.
But they're running 4 lines. The Finns dropped down to 2 and a bit at one point, but basically they're running 4 lines, just keep them rotating.
And that benefits come 3rd period, doesn't it, when the legs get a bit tired?
Well, in a game like this, in such a big rink, it's got to be tiring. Like I said, I think the Russians can step it up just a little another gear here.
Oh, there it is. As you say, great goal for the Russians. Gordiuk finishes off, but it was Nemchinov and Zhamov that set it up. Oh, the Finns have paid the price there, haven't they? Knocking it about, the Russians here, Alex?
Yeah, again, sloppy back checking. It's always the case. You never think the guy that's beside you is going to get the puck, and here was a Finn standing right beside the Russian. Didn't tie him up.
Lindfors had gone a long way out as well. He wasn't doing a lot of good.
I think that was Blomqvist back there, which surprises me because he seems to be sort of the quality guy on the Finn defense.
Well, the Russians are back in front. They stepped up a gear, just as we were talking, and said they might, and indeed they did. Gordiuk with his 2nd of the game. 4-5 the score, and the goal time to 11:29. Penalty on the play. Oh, come on, ref, it wasn't me.
We'd have to have a replay on that one, Gary. I don't think it was near him. I think the Russian fell over.
Slan says he was looking at the spotlight. Me, ref? Oh, well, doesn't matter, Salan. I've never seen one change their minds yet. So he draws 2 minutes for interference. And if the Russians turn this into a goal on the power play, we're back to a 2-goal spread.
Well, they won't be happy about that one. They just got back into the game, and they certainly didn't need this.
Well, they levelled it on the power play, and they dropped a goal, a sloppy goal at that. And then the lad with the black eye there, Salan, doesn't see eye to eye with the referee. Drops from 2 minutes interference to the 11:50. Still, if they can kill the penalty, that'll give them something to build on.
Well, if they don't, they've run into trouble.
Killing a penalty can be, to my mind, sometimes as good as scoring a goal, because it's better than losing one, or on a par with a big save anyway from the penalty.
I mean, the lucky thing is here they possibly don't have to overwork certain players, key players, and they probably got a special teams people that go out and kill the penalties. But you can only do that so long against a team like Russia, and they're going to score on you. Well,
Bure sets it up for Kamensky. Bure can't get back to Kamensky's pass though, and the Russians have to sort it out. Center ice, Konstantinov loses out, and Keskinen dumps it down to kill some of the penalty.
Yeah, the Finns are doing a good job, Gary. Like they said, they're standing them up, not letting them set the play up.
And trying to get ahead of steam. Bure, that's his style, isn't it? Get the old legs going. shimmy-shammy through the centre of the ice, but he didn't get the puck in quick enough, and a teammate strayed offside. Who's to blame there, the guy with the puck or the guy on the wing?
Well,
who do you make do the press-ups at training?
Oh, nobody. Press-ups. It really depends. If the guy was open and he was busting, I think he probably should have had the puck. But, in a power play situation, if you can go in under control, and that's what you try to do.
Well, the Russians rotating their lines. Not ad nausea, but indefinitely. They're just working through the 4 lines. Truchno's out there now, left wing. And this is Sujajev. Bringing it forward round the net. And a diving, sprawling poke check.
Yeah, they're paying the price of their sloppy play. They're just so lax right now.
Well, they've got their noses in front, haven't they? They're on the power play, but a little bit more intensity wouldn't go amiss, would it?
Well, you wouldn't get away with those passes in a smaller rink. Anything that loose should be run over.
The guys who get away with those passes in any team run by Mr. Tikhonov. They dump it forward, and the Finns doing a good job of spoiling whatever the Russians are throwing at them.
Well, the Finns have stayed with their style of penalty killing, which is basically forcing the play all the time, don't let anybody set up, and it's certainly been more effective than what the Russians have switched to.
Well, Salan's back on the ice. Changes on the fly for Harnpar. And the penalty's over. And the Finns break up that Russian attack from Zipnov and bring it forward themselves. Blomqvist tried to place it a little bit. Could have had a shot from there.
Well, he had a lot of guys in front of the net. I think he just tried to get it on the goaltender and hope one of them could put the rebound in.
Hope for a little deflection anyway. Anyway, the puck's right back down in his own end. And this is Blomqvist again. A lot comes through him for the Finns, doesn't it?
Yeah, he controls the play coming out of the end zone. He's a good player. I'm quite impressed the way he plays and handles the game. He's put a lot of ice time in.
Harnpar goes a bit too fancy, loses out, then wins it back. So they won't be criticising him for that shift. And Metsnikov gets it forward for the Russians. And that's an offside pass to two-goal man Gordiuk. And he looks across and says, I thought I'd nearly got it there. I just thought I'd kept the blade down long enough, ref.
Well,
in Russian.
Yeah, it's the type of thing I think that the Finns have really got to be careful of. The Finns, the Russians can sneak in behind the play so easily. Next thing you know, you're down a couple of goals.
Well, they're pass masters at precision passing, aren't they? And getting guys away as
really
as they're about to get offside. But they're truly not offside because the passing's so accurate at times. Not at the moment.
Well, the Finns are doing a good job. I have to give them credit for the way they're playing. They're not letting much happen.
It's just old-fashioned hustle from Finland at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
And,
yeah, they're not letting the Russians settle.
As soon as a man's on the puck, don't give him a chance to get his head up and sort out what's on. Just keep the pressure up. Here come the Finns. Yes. Out of nowhere.
Yeah, really out of nowhere. It's backhand directed it on net, and that was it.
Defenseman Berta coming in, stealing in off the blue line. And he shovels that one in. 23. Berta. We've got a tied game again. 15:38 gone, second period. Hannu Berta, assisted by Salan. 5-5 the score. I don't think you'd have settled for that if you were the Finnish coach.
Oh, yeah, he just handcuffed the goaltender. He was down, and that backhand shot's always difficult to stop. The goaltender has a hard time reading where it's going.
5 minutes in a period to go. And a 5-all scoreline. Oh, there was a slash high from Konstantinov there on Peskinen. Didn't seem to bother him. It was just a bit too near one of our microphones and sounded worse than it really was, but it looked like a high slash to me.
Well, I think there's going to be more urgency amongst the Russian team just now. They're going to have to be. I'm sure there'll be some harsh words coming into the interval. The Finns are still putting the pressure on, though.
Well, they've got about 5 minutes to go this period. Less than that now, 4 minutes. If they can go in on a 5-5 scoreline, they'll be happy. 20 minutes of hockey to come against the Russians,
well,
world champions.
They've won the period. That's what they're, I'm sure they're happy to just come out draw, and they've come out 1 goal up.
Yeah.
So But, you know, like you say, there's 3.5 or 4 minutes left, and
who knows?
This is a critical time. The Russians could score 2 quick ones if you're not careful.
Bure goes into Rob Henriksen, who's down on his knees. And now Bure goes to the net. Now we're playing one-handed there. But Bure still manages to pick up. Then he gets flattened. There's a penalty. And then the Finn goes over him. Bure threw a little cross-check and leans on him a bit. And a little bit, yes, we'll call that one argy-bargy. We'll call that one argy-bargy.
Well, the Finns got caught a little bit careless in their own zone, and
well, now they do have to kill this one, don't they?
Well, that was a bad penalty, really. I mean, I suppose in your defensive zone you can afford to take penalties if it's crucial, but they got running around. The Russians were doing a good job turning them inside out there. If they'd gone much longer, I think they would have had an excellent scoring chance.
Well, it's a holding penalty, timed at 16:44. Now this is a big one. This is a big one for both sides. 5-all score, drawing to the last 3.5 minutes of the second period.
The Russians haven't done much, though, Gary, on their power play. It's very surprising how disorganized they look.
Well, the Finns will want to kill this one. Big Kamensky's out there at the moment for the Russians. Going with Butsajev. That was a bit of a dive there from Bure. Trying to sucker another Finn into another penalty, I think.
Well, I don't think the referee would dare call another penalty here.
Well, even today, the way they've been playing, the Russians surely would get a goal on a 5-on-3 power play. As it is, it's a 5-on-4, and it's Bure coming through centre ice. Drops it off for Kamensky. But the Finns just robbed them. Casual play again from the Russians. And he'll turn, he'll go all the way if he can. Well, he hustles it down the boards, slowly, killing off the penalty.
It's good work by the Finns. It's good to see.
Now, can the Russians get something going? Kamensky has to circle, force back. Gets the pass across to Konstantinov. Deflected shot off Blomqvist. Could have gone anywhere, really. Went to safety. Bure in the corner, leaves it. Konstantinov. Kamensky. Konstantinov. Loose puck off the bar. Roll on it, son. Now, here comes Konstantinov. Another big one. I thought that one went in, but it must have been the skate kicking the net at the back, and the puck went wide. This is more of a power play. Konstantinov with about his 4th big shot. And a nice poke check there from Blomqvist in the goal crease, just to break it up.
You know, the Russians were certainly working for that one-time shot on the right wing. They worked it back to the middle of the ice and passed it across to the first-time shot. They were looking dangerous all the time there.
Venchinov steams through centre ice, drops off a pass to Semak. Russians changing on the fly there. Semak drops it back. Mironov's shot, though, is blocked, and the zone's cleared by Finland again. Best looking power play of the match so far, really.
Well, yeah, they looked very much under control, and they were working the puck high in a type of what they call a high umbrella. And it looked very effective. The Finns really couldn't chase them. The puck started to do the work, and I think once the Russians do get control, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, the Finns, okay, maybe they got lucky, but Konstantinov here.
I thought this one was in.
Yeah, I did. It's his skate, if you see, catches the net. And his other skate kicks the puck just wide. Good looking power play, but it's over now and the man advantage is gone. We've still got a 5-all ice hockey game between Finland and Russia. And we're into the last couple of minutes of the second period. Last minute now, says rink announcer Christina Elgstam, and who am I to argue with her? And it's Finland. I don't think they'll be looking for a goal. They'll just look to get to the break on even terms.
Well, that's got to be the case right now. I think they'll just be happy to go into the break with basically winning the period. You know, if they can do the same in the next period, they've won the game.
Good save.
You can't let that happen too often.
No, don't give them too many shots from there, says Lindfors. 1 or 2 I'll deal with. 4 or 5 and we're in trouble, boys. As you say, it was 3-2 to the Russians first period, and this one so far 3-2 to Finland. The Finns trying to do something about it now.
You know, both goalies have been a bit suspect, Gary. I mean, the Finn had a chance there for a shot and decided to fake the shot. I think this time of night you would have taken it. You know, if it's 30 feet out or 20 feet out, can't see not taking the shots.
As it delayed offside there. Keskinen dumped it in, and now a two-line pass. And Harpakowski marshals the Russian attack there as the Finnish fans get the flags going a little bit. That's Kovaljov. Can he get his side in front just before the break? Well, I suspect it'll be his coach that's the least happy at the moment. His side's just dropped the second period 3-2 for that 5-all running total, Alex. And Tikhonov wants to wind his boys up, don't they? Shots on goal, the Russians outshot them, but they certainly didn't outscore the Finns.
No, the Finns came through winning the period, which is a great result for them. I think they'll be very, very happy, but they'll have to work hard to win the third.
Kravchuk, Utila, Peltomer, Gordiuk and Verta the scorers, and that gives us a 5-all running total going into the third period in this, the Sweden Hockey Games, Russia against Finland. Globe Arena in Stockholm, 5-all the score, then Russia against Finland, start of the third period. Whole new hockey game, Alex Dampier.
Well, it's starting at scratch here now, Gary, and I think the Finns have really got to concentrate hard on their defensive work here, and if they let the Russians come at them too hard, they're going to be in trouble. I think they just could be overpowered if they're not careful.
Well, it starts with a lost draw by Nieminen for Finland. It's the Russians in possession. Zitnik looking for someone to pass to. Finally gets it away to a man, and the Russians are set up now. And bring it forward. The shot's blocked though from Kravchuk. He's had one goal already. He's had a taste for it in this one. Russians again looking for an early strike, and could be vital, couldn't it, an early goal in this, because we're down to a 20-minute game of hockey now.
Well, you know, the Russians started off just a little bit different than what they had been. They were far more under control in their attack, and you know, I think if there's any indication that Finland's going to really have to be careful.
Well, Finland gets it across the crease, but there's no one there to turn it in, and Konstantinov is all over his forward and then leaves him and comes back for the puck to try and set something up for the Russians, and he's got it a long way forward, and that's Butsajev looking for a backhand shot. He just gets smothered for his trouble. Puck's blocked way out, long way out.
Again, that's Blomqvist doing a good job. He's not a particularly big guy in comparison to some of the Russian forwards, but he's doing a lot of good work.
Well, Marjan stretches and gets the groin muscles going so that he knows what he's doing.
I think he's been a bit suspect, Gary. You always expect Russian goaltenders to be in the mold of some of their great ones, and this guy doesn't really seem to be doing the business.
Well, they've got a big reputation to live up to, haven't they?
Yeah. You know, the Russian team itself is so strong. At times you don't need the goaltending, but when they do need it, they expect the guy to be there. Kravchuk was there no matter what.
Zitnik's pass goes astray for the Russians, and he puts them under pressure now. Gets another chance to clear. Peltomer in there, hustling again. Reminds me of that guy Rick Tockett over in the NHL, that Peltomer. Things seem to happen. Not a lot, not always, but you know what I mean.
Things certainly happen with Tockett on the ice, there's no doubt about that.
Well, Peltomer's deserved his reputation for it today.
Oh, he's been a feisty player today, there's no doubt about that. He's certainly earned his spot in the team.
Yeah, he's earned his paycheck anyway. Blomqvist again, tidying up. Siren gets the chance to clear. Doesn't get it over the blue line though. Blomqvist tidies up again. This time Helminen gets the chance to sort it out for Finland. Turns his man well. Siren comes in to block off the Russian attacker and give Helminen a chance to clear. He did come over the line, so he can't get it back in. Smirnov tried to kick it back in before it came right over the blue line, but obviously it had crossed. And the linesman said, right, we'll have a whistle. And if he started skating, by the time he gets about 18, he could be playing for the likes of these.
He just may be, you don't know, you better get his name.
Kozlov with the face-off for Russia. One of the youngsters in the team. Gets it back, shuffles it back to his blue line squad. Smirnov shuffles it forward. Kozlov can't reach the pass from Vakulov.
The Russians look like they're going to take control here. They just seem to be just starting to shut the Finns down.
We had that earlier, didn't we, where you said it just seemed as though the Russians felt they had another gear. And at the moment, this period seems to have the Russians' name on it.
Yeah,
the way he walked in there and just took his shot at will.
Yeah, they seem just to be a little too strong. Although I'd like, I'd like to see the Finns do well. You always kind of cheer the underdog.
But you also said, quite rightly, Alex, that the Finns for a time dropped down to 2.5 lines, and their legs are going to be more tight than the full-line Russians now.
Yeah, the penalty killing for a while in the power play, they, obviously their key guys get out there and did the work, and the key defensemen, so it's tiring.
Well, Smirnoff's long shot is well smothered by Lindfors. He's not had a bad game. He's had the better game of the two goalkeepers.
Yeah, he's more of an acrobatic type goalie. He looked very good close in. Of course, I'm sure he was expecting a lot of rubber at him tonight, and he was probably fairly pumped up. He hasn't had that much work.
He's doing well. Russians outshot the Finns though second period, although they gave up more goals, which points to the point you were making about the two goalkeepers and which one's not necessarily hot, but certainly warmer than the guy at the other end. Here come the Finns through Peltomer. And Ujajev tries to sort him out. We've got a penalty, I think, on the play.
You know, Gary, you look at that play right there. The Russian took the Finn into the boards, held him into the boards. Finn came around and put a little bit of a hold on the Russian. The Russian took the dive, and look at right there. Held the Finn into the boards, and there's just a little tug. Down he goes as a penalty. I thought that was a poor call, really.
Well, it's number 11, Vitakovsky, who goes off for hooking.
It's not the type of call you need this time of night.
3:37 gone. So the Russians get the chance to make the power play work. Last time out, it looked well oiled, although it didn't lead to a goal, the power play.
No, they're looking sharper and sharper all the time, and I think if the Finns give them that much room this time, then they're going to find themselves down a goal.
Well, the Russians set up deep. And,
the Finns are giving up the blue line. That was something they weren't doing earlier on. They may be a little bit tired.
well, Ujajev, the defenseman, takes it in deep, goes all the way in the corner, makes sure his side have possession in there. Finns boxing it out now.
The guy in the far post is going to be the trouble man right there.
Samov, and everyone's cruises in. I think the Finns will have to do a better job than that.
Yeah, that was a quality shot. I don't think the Finns are going to have to look at tightening up that box a bit.
Good pass from Zamov on the right wing, and Nemchinov was ready to pounce. But there was no rebound from Lindfors. He did a job then, actually.
Yeah, he did. He played it well. He stood his ground, didn't give the Russian too much to shoot at. That's the power play the Russians used last time. They're trying to work the puck through the box to the offside winger, and he gets a good quality shot.
Well, they've killed about half of it now, but still a minute in the box to go for Vitakowski. So another minute of life in the fast lane for the Finns. They're 4 skaters against the 5 Russians. And a 5-all scoreline. Nemchinov plays it round the boards. Back to the point man, big shot from Konstantinov. Enjoy this time for the Russians. Penalty draws to a close, but not yet. They might get one more rush up the ice on this power play. Good play there, stretch forward. On one knee.
That's the kind of second effort you need to win games.
Well, Finns managed to clear it. And we get a chance to turn around and go again. Smothers his man. So it must be 4-on-3 at this end of the ice. Kamensky drops it off. And they're back to full strength, and then they score the goal. Kamensky, the scorer. They think we've done the job, we've killed the penalty, we're back to even strength, and they forget how tired they are. Kamensky, the scorer, 5:44 gone, third period. Not a power play goal, but what is it? 7 seconds after they got Vitakowski back.
Yeah, they were caught out there, still on the penalty killing unit. Obviously, probably a little tired. But the Russians did have the pressure. That was a good play.
Yeah,
13 just walked in from the corner, big strong guy.
Yeah. Out of my way, I'm coming in. Big John Wayne approach there. And got his just rewards. Now, can Finland come back again? They've come back from behind 2 or 3 times already in this one. And be a big feather in their cap if they could do it again.
Well, Finland's not going to do it if they keep getting penalties. There's no way they can withstand more power plays. The Russians are just looking, like you said, just a little too well oiled just now.
Well, that wasn't technically, as we say, a power play goal. 7 seconds between it.
It certainly resulted from it, though, really.
Yeah, very much so, yeah. I was just about to say that, Alex. I wasn't criticising you in any way, shape or form. I wouldn't dream of it. I was just going to say, although technically it wasn't a power play goal, you're right. It should morally go down as one. Because the guy hadn't got back on the ice hardly. And it's getting a bit scrappy now, the Russians. Oh, look at that. Didn't exactly try to get Kovaljov, didn't try to get his stick out the way, did he?
Well, there's a lot of niggle between these two teams, and as the championships run near, it's going to get worse and worse, I would think.
Well, individuals and units and the whole team trying to set the tone for other championships further down the road. For now, they're concentrating on the Sweden hockey games, and Finland concentrating on trying to get back. They trail it 6-5. Nice pass out front from Viitakoski then, the bad lad, but nothing came of it. Now the Finns scrambling a little bit to clear. Keskinen back there to help out his defence. Solan gets it forward, but the Russians take possession, centre ice. The Russians just look as though they've picked up a gear, although that was a bit scrappy, but they looked as though they've picked up a gear towards this third period action.
Well, considering they're still using the 4 units, I mean, they really haven't dropped to their top 3 lines or top 2 lines. They're still using a lot of players out there, so I'm sure they've got a lot more to give if they really have to.
Well, they've got a chance there and a goal. And it's young Kozlov on the backhand. 7:14 gone. That stretches it to 7-5. And Kozlov will be happy with that. He's got the Russians in front over the Finns by 7-5 with this backhand. Russia 7, Finland 5, and this is how they got it.
That was a well set up goal, Gary. The Russian walked in, faked the shot, and then laid it off to his partner in front, and that was it. 2 goals up.
Kozlov the scorer, assisted by Smirnov and Zelapukin. 7-14 and a 2-goal spread. And I don't think the Russians, well, we've seen them come back before the Finns, but I do think in the third period that could be a nail in the coffin, as they say.
I would think the Russians have got the legs left now. The Finns, you know, there's a couple of key defensemen have been out there an awful lot, and I think like Blomqvist, he's logged a lot of ice time, and he's a key man back there. He's got to be getting tired.
Well, Nieminen to take this draw for Finland. If they're going to get back into it, they need to win the draw and get a quick go. They've got possession. Can they get the shot away? That was deflected, but deflected wide. Well, the Russians there in number, because some argy going on there between Nieminen and Namestninov. Goes unpunished by referee Johansson. And eventually the Russians managed to hike the puck down the ice.
Yeah, the Finns had a couple of chances to shoot the puck there and didn't. They kept working around for the pretty goal. They're going to have to start taking the chances when they get them. They can't afford to miss any opportunities at all now.
Trailing 2 goals against the Russians, anything to do.
Well, yeah, with 10 minutes left, you know, you're 15 feet out, you got a chance to pull the trigger, you do that. You just don't hang around and try to make a pretty pass.
Well, here we go now. Can they get another chance to shoot on net? Because as Alex says, goalkeeper Marjan hasn't been the best goalie in the world. On tonight's show, Jutila goes back. Hammers it round the boards, but only as far as his opposite number 5, Mironov. And the Russians, they'll settle for pretty plays at the moment, won't they?
Well, they're looking for possession. You know, they're quite happy to keep it and not to give away much. The Finns really, like you were saying, Gary, they're in a position to score a goal, and the goaltender has been suspect. They've got to take those chances.
And it's the Russians now who pass it around and get a shot away. And he took a big fall there. Jamnov. But a little shake of the head. There we go, boys. Get on with the game.
I don't think he got his cage rattled that hard.
He caught the pipes as much as anything. Well, it could have done some damage to me, but perhaps not to you.
God, that size would break me in half. These are big kids. You know, they're not the short, stocky Russians we've seen now and again.
They'd actually, over in Russia, they'd cultivate 6'4"ers, wouldn't they, when they realised that the game internationally requires that sort of build and physique.
Well, I don't know. I think you take what comes up through a system, but I mean they've got some very, very good small hockey players. There's some great players playing in the NHL, the National Hockey League in North America, that are your 5'10", 5'11". Where are the bars still open?
He's not that impressed, is he? Well, the goal was off its mooring, so nothing could have happened, so he wasn't missing anything.
It's discouraging, though, isn't it, to see so few people in the stands?
Yeah, but a lot of games being played in the Globe Arena, and I can understand why the home fans would want to see the home team.
Yeah, it's always the case with these tournaments, and I'm sure that the players are quite used to it.
It's been a good game, though, this one. Nice treat. Some good goals. And as you say, it's always a damn sight easier up here, isn't it?
Well, there's more enthusiasm, too. You know, some of the games have been just a little bit painful to watch at times.
Bure with a long shot, and it was Harpakowski who threw himself down to block it and set up a chance for Finland to get the spread back to one. But not if you don't take your sticks, son. And that was Salan, the youngster with the black eye, who left his stick behind and ended up hauling his man into the boards. Could have drawn a penalty for holding, actually, especially when the puck was cleared away, but it wasn't given. Bure drops it off. The wrist shot there from Semak goes astray. And the Finnish defence managed to shuffle it around the boards and get it to centre ice. Neat pass there to Kivila. And Marjan could have put that one down. Well, he's going to tidy up, look. He's going to make sure all the seats are neat for the next game in the Sweden hockey games.
I still think that was a relatively weak shot, and the goaltender still juggled it. It's, you know, the Finns are going to have to start shooting from everywhere. Just over the red line, might have to just start putting it in on net and going for rebounds, because they're not getting any luck at all working it in just now.
Well, he's getting worked up about something, that youngster. I guess he might just be a Russian fan. They lead it by 2 goals. And they're happy when they get the puck to keep possession and look for the quality shots. Finland, as Alex Dampier, the Great Britain coach, says, should be just trying to hammer it on net. Hope for a bit of lady luck. Vidikowski got stuck in there on the boards and trying to get something going for Finland.
Of course, goals for and against are very important in these type of tournaments. So the Finns really don't want to allow anything else going in here.
Amazingly, the Russians don't make it a 3-goal spread there. Oh, the Russian had the stick up there as the guy came in. Zipnik. And Shudjajev.
Yeah, it's good to see the Finns standing their ground.
Well, I think a little bit of feistiness, for want of a better word, wouldn't do the Finns any harm at the moment.
No, it wouldn't. I think someone should remind them that the Russians tried to take their country at one point in time, and maybe they'll get fired up again.
This is sport. This is sport. 7-5, Russia lead at the Sweden hockey games. And seen a couple of cracking power play goals, and Nieminen seems to get sent out there when they've got a draw in the opposition end for Finland. Doesn't work this time, though. The Russians bounce it off the boards and get it down to centre ice. He was tall enough there, Zamov, to get possession with his glove and keep the pressure on the Finns. The stick work's calmed down, though.
Yeah, I think they both realize they can't spend time in the penalty box. Both power plays have showed that they can be quite potent if they have to be, and like you say, both goals for and against are very important in these tournaments.
Well, I don't envy Coach Pentti Matikainen of Finland. Had a big job on his hands, and to give the bloke credit, he did a job through to the halfway mark, didn't he? The end of the second period, in fact. It was still all tied up.
You know, there's nothing wrong with their team. Finland's got a good squad. And, you know, you look at the list of players that are available for them come World Championships, and they've got 7 or 8 real quality hockey players playing throughout the world that they can call upon to come back and play for the national team.
Guys that are currently over in the NHL and that.
Yeah, and guys that are currently in Europe. You know, Curry could come back and play, and he's obviously a tremendous hockey player.
Yeah, he's learned a bit in his time over in the NHL. He's in Italy now, I believe.
Yeah.
The lure of the lira.
Well, he wouldn't hurt on any hockey team.
He could find a spot for him, couldn't he?
Mm.
Well, the Finns trying to win possession the hard way and lose out. Here comes Zamov. And Gordiuk, he's already got 2 goals. He knows where the back of the net is. He could have had his hat-trick there, but he chose to pass it. That was a nice turn for him, though. Fakes the big shot, drops the pass off. Back of the net.
Great goal
from Nemchinov. Now that was nice. Gordiuk fluffed the previous chance and sorted this one out nicely. A good turn on the skates, kept control, brought it down himself, waited till Blomqvist was committed, dropped it off to Nemchinov, and top shelf from Nemchinov. 8-5 the score then. The Russians very much in control of this one. Nemchinov the scorer, 13:21 gone. Five minutes to go then, third period. Russia now lead it 8-5. The first time we've had a 3-goal spread all game, Alex Dampier. And the Russians have up that gear that we thought they had in spare commodity. And third period, they turned their heat on a little bit.
Well, they're starting to do things that I expected of the Russian team. There's a lot of tic-tac-toe out there, moving the puck around. And early in the game, they were taking kind of wild, abandoned shots, which really were uncharacteristic of them. Now they're far more precision-type plays.
Well, the Finns have given them a little bit more room now, and I think it's not necessarily mental approach that's giving them the extra room from Finland. It's just physical approach. Their legs are getting tired.
Yeah, I think the Finns did use a lot of guys, but you look at the defensemen, and I think they overworked a few guys. You know, you don't have much choice. If you've only got a limited number of guys that can really do the job back there, they've got to play.
Well, that's Kivila going out now to take the draw. Normally we see Nieminen when they try to win possession deep in the Russian zone. And Vitikowski's out there left wing for Finland. He's a feisty little player when he wants to be. Kivila doesn't win it. The Russians clear the zone.
Well, it's important now the Finns don't give up too many goals if they want to land anywhere in the placements in this tournament.
Goals against could be crucial. And they've done well in this one. Here's Kamensky. Winds up for the big shot. But it was a bit of a fake, wasn't it?
Well,
he comes back though, on the backhand. I think Lindfors got a piece of that and needed to deflect it into the corner.
Unfortunately, the scoreline doesn't reflect the play all that much. It doesn't. I don't think Finland really got hammered all that badly. They'd taken more chances they had.
Well, there was a good chance there for a goal for Finland from Vitikowski. And unfortunately for the Finnish supporters and the neutrals like ourselves, he didn't put it away. It would have been an interesting game if we got back down to a 2-goal spread.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see him come down to the wire. They always like to see the underdogs do well.
Well, they're hammering away now, Russia. 2 or 3 chances for a goal there. And Smirnov hustles back to get back to the blue line where he belongs. Icing whistle goes, so we go all the way back down to Lindfors then.
You can't afford a team like Russia to get ahead of you, Gary. They're a very difficult team to catch up on.
Well, catch-up hockey's bad against anyone, isn't it? And then when you give
yeah.
Russia a goal or 2 lead.
Yeah, all of a sudden they just look like they just take control of everything and they just turn into a circus.
Right, Samak's out there centering Truchno and Butsajev. And he wins it as well. So the defence can't take control. Zidnov loses out, and now Finland do get a chance. And they build on it though. Suominen has to dump it in. Kivila. He's got possession, tries to set himself up, gets it out front, on onto the tape. The goes harmlessly to centre ice.
And the Finns have really pushed everybody forward. They got caught 4 guys in deep that time, and they're pushing hard for a goal.
Well, perhaps they'd be better counseled to think about the goals against. Just send 3 guys in.
Well, I'd send 1 in.
You know, the other teams are no slouches in this tournament, Czechoslovakia and the host nation Sweden. And I fancy the Czechs could do more damage and cause more problems for the Russians than either of the other two, just because of the similarity in style.
Yeah, well, now there is a real rivalry between the two nations. There's really no love lost there. They have some great knockdown battles when they play, and I think that the Czechs are always up. If they have a chance to beat a Russian team, then they can hardly wait.
Well, that's a cracking game in the making. You'll be able to see it with us here when it comes round. For now, though, we've got the last few minutes of this one, with Finland desperately trying to pull something out of the fire. They trail it 8-5. Big score that really, and they now trail it 5-9.
Yeah, it's
Zelepukin. I think that's a fair pronunciation of the guy's name, Zelepukin. And he'll give assist to Vartlanov and Kozlov. Timed at 17 minutes, or 57 minutes if you prefer. 5-9 the score. Not a bad goal.
No, you can't blame anybody there. They had a clean-cut 3-on-2, and they're just technically too good. They're too sound to let those chances go big.
Well, he's paid the price really for pushing down the ice a bit too much without the hustle to get back. But you can't really criticise them, because they skated hard first 2 periods and they were still 5-all. I think that stick's gone over the plexiglass.
They're a good hockey club, Finland. The problem is that they get drained of players out of their club teams that go abroad to play hockey, and their program isn't near as large as the Russians. So they feel the effects that much more. When they lose key players, it really leaves a hole in their program.
Well, he's proudly waving the flag, although the spectator next to him says, "Do you mind not ruffling the hair so much with it?" So he holds it up a little higher. But as I say, he rightly has pride in waving that flag, because they gave Russia a run for the money over 2 periods, and it was only 3rd period as the Finnish legs tired a little bit, and coach Vatikkanen ran out of options. Meanwhile, Tikhonov, the Russian coach, just kept throwing the 4 lines at him, didn't he?
There's certainly no shame in losing to a Russian team. They can beat any team in the world really when it comes down to it, and they've done so. So the Finns are doing a good job, and they'll get better.
Well, it's Finland now seeking a late consolation goal. I think that's all they can seek now, because they do trail it by 4 goals. And it's a 4-0 period so far to the Russians, so they'll be happy with that. And perhaps Tikhonov throughout last 2 minutes. And Coach Tikhonov perhaps went into the whole game expecting strength in depth to be the key factor.
I wouldn't have thought he was all that worried about the outcome. Like you say, the championship's coming up. He's got a lot of young players out there, and he wants to have a look at them, and they've all made a good account of themselves tonight.
I'd be worried about my net minding, though, as you say, Alex. Marjan. Well, I don't know much about the backup. Stalenkov, and I think I'd have a look-see.
Yeah, he's certainly not what you'd expect. I mean, they've been so fortunate in the years to have Tretiak there, and depth in goaltending, and all of a sudden they're left with what looks like a bit of a void, but we don't know. They may have somebody sitting on the sidelines who's an excellent goalie.
Yeah, perhaps it's a con.
You just don't know, do you?
It's a little Russian gambit. And then suddenly he's got another Tretiak, and he sends him out in the World Championships. Who knows?
Well, they've got such a big hockey program in Russia. They've got a lot of players to choose from.
Starts at an early age with the school kids spending 3 and 4 and 5 hours on the ice every day, and then doing the lessons as well. So out of all of that, in a country as big as Russia, you've got to get a handful of half-decent hockey players, haven't you?
Yeah, no, they've got a good setup. They've got a good program. They organize it in clubs, and these guys take a lot of pride in playing. There's a lot of benefits for playing ice hockey in Russia.
Kovalchov hustles in the corner. They provided some good entertainment in this one as well. And the Finns have made a match of it. It's Finland now just hustling, counting the clock down, but Kuvila tries to get it forward, can't quite sort it out. And Niemen and Ruotonen standing up on the bench trying to get out there. Is this a goal? Well, they've been looking for one and threatening to score when the Russians seem to be well spread out at the moment. There it is. I was just saying the Russians seem spread out as if they're saying, do you want a goal, just to put a smile on your faces, boys. And Tuomisto says, well, thanks very much, I'll have that. And Niemen and Ruotonen look like they're going to draw assists on it.
That's a great way for them to try to finish off the period anyway. You know, they've had some hard luck. They've had some chances to score.
Well, they got it at the death, 14 seconds to go. A 9-6 scoreline, not a bad scoreline. Tuomisto's second goal of the night. Right through the crease there. The defenseman didn't make any effort.
Well, the goaltender didn't make an effort. You almost would have thought he'd have played it.
Sergejev and Mergen, the goalkeeper, both of them could have sorted it out. They both let it come all the way through to Tuomisto. And with 14 seconds to go, they make the scoreboard look very respectable indeed. There's the final hooter. Best game of the tournament so far. Final score, USSR 9, Finland 6. Good game, Alex.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I must admit I'm a bit pro Finland. I kind of like them. They're a feisty team. They've got some very interesting hockey players. And I think
you've got some Finnish blood, haven't you?
Well, a little bit, yeah. My grandmother was from Finland. So we've got a lot of Finns from our area.
Shots on goal teller story, 16 on Finland, 11 on Russia first period. The Russians outshot the Finns but dropped the scoring to the Finns second period. And then the scoring, Kamensky, Tuomisto, Kozlov, Gordiuk, half-par, 3-2 to Russia first period. Into the second, and Kratchuk, Utila, Peltoma and Gordiuk convert were the scorers, 3-2 to Finland. 5-5 going into the third session. And in that third session, Kamensky, Kozlov, Nemchenov, Zelapukin and finally Tuomisto for the scoring. And that was a 4-1 period to the Russians for that 9-6 final score in favour of the Russians in the Sweden Hockey Games. From Alex Dampier and Gary Moran, we hope you enjoyed it. We'll leave you with the highlights.